If someone had told me a few weeks before that I'd be fired from Apex Technologies just days after landing the company's biggest contract that year, I'd have laughed it off. But here I am, sitting in this sterile, cold CEO's office, feeling blindsided, betrayed, and utterly dumbfounded. This is a story I never thought I'd have to tell, but it's the truth, plain and painful as it is. Let me take you back a little, because you have to understand how we got here. I'm Jason Mitchell. For nearly 8 years, I've been climbing the sales ranks at Apex, a tech company that specializes in advanced software solutions for manufacturing industries. When I started, I was a fresh-faced kid with nothing but determination and a suit that didn't quite fit yet. The kind of guy who believed if you put in the work, stayed loyal, and learned the ropes, you'd earn your place and your reward. Those early years were no cakewalk. I remember sleeping in my car outside client offices after late meetings, living on instant coffee and takeout because I was too busy chasing leads and preparing proposals to cook. I missed more family dinners than I can count. My wife, Maria, was the rock who kept the home fires burning, telling me it was all worth it. "This is your moment coming," she'd say. "Just hold on a little longer." And that moment finally arrived last month. I had been chasing a contract with a massive Midwest manufacturing firm for nearly 6 months. It was a tough, slow-moving giant, multiple departments to convince, tight budgets, and a history of sticking to their old software systems. But I knew the tech Apex was offering could save them millions in production costs and downtime. I believed in what I was selling. I believed in my team. More than that, I believed that closing this deal would change everything, not just for the company, but for my family and me. I flew out there countless times, stayed late at night dialing back and forth with their purchasing directors, adapting proposals on the fly, answering a million questions, and jumping through every hoop they set. I even learned some of their manufacturing lingo, so I could speak their language and build real trust. And after weeks of grinding, a few unexpected last-minute budget cuts, and a very tense final negotiation, I closed the deal. $5 million. $5 million. I still remember the feeling of relief mixed with pride when I sent the email to the entire sales department announcing the win. For once, it wasn't just about the money. It was validation, a symbol that my hard work and loyalty had finally paid off. I pictured the bonus check hitting my bank account, the conversations with Maria about upgrading the kids' school, and maybe finally a vacation that didn't involve airport layovers or conference calls. Then came the call from Greg Patterson, Apex's CEO, that shattered everything. I was asked to come into his office for a quick chat, and when I stepped in, the atmosphere was suffocating. Greg, usually a sharp and commanding presence, seemed distracted, cold, and distant. His usual sharp smile was replaced by a forced neutrality that immediately set off alarm bells in my gut. He barely looked at me before launching into what felt like a rehearsed statement. "Jason, I want to thank you for your contributions, especially with the recent contract. But the company is going through a restructuring phase, and as part of that, we've decided to eliminate your position." I blinked. For a second, I thought maybe I misheard him. "Eliminate my position?" I said, trying to keep my voice steady, hoping he'd soften or at least explain. "You mean I'm being let go? After closing the biggest deal this year?" Greg sighed, folding his hands on the desk. "I understand this is difficult, but the decision is final. We're streamlining operations to focus on strategic priorities. Your role has been deemed redundant." I wanted to argue, to remind him of the months I put in, the countless hours on the phone, the face-to-face meetings, the late nights tweaking proposals to win this contract. I wanted to remind him that my bonus was supposed to come with that deal, a reward for my hard work. But Greg just shook his head and said the company would process my severance. The room suddenly felt suffocating. The walls seemed to close in as the weight of his words crashed down on me. My years of loyalty, my sacrifices, all dismissed in a matter of minutes. I sat there in stunned silence, numb. When I finally left that office, clutching a small cardboard box with my personal items, a framed picture of Maria and our kids, a plaque for Salesperson of the Year, and my favorite coffee mug, the reality hit me like a freight train. The colleagues who passed me in the hallways gave me sympathetic glances, but said nothing. The place I'd called my professional home for nearly a decade now felt like a minefield. I couldn't stop replaying the conversation in my head during the drive home. Was it something I said? A mistake I made? Was this a sign the company was in deeper trouble than I realized? Why now, just before my bonus? When I pulled into the driveway, Maria was waiting. The hope in her eyes quickly faded as she took in the grim expression on my face. I broke down in front of her, the anger, the confusion, the fear all pouring out. It wasn't just a job I lost, it was my sense of security, my identity, and my belief that loyalty still mattered. But even through the hurt, I knew one thing. This wasn't the end for me. It was just the beginning of a fight to reclaim my career and my dignity. After the abrupt and devastating blow at Apex Technologies, I was left reeling. The office halls where I had spent countless hours, strategizing, negotiating, and building relationships, suddenly felt cold and empty. The finality of the CEO's decision to fire me moments after I secured a massive $5 million contract wasn't just a professional setback. It was a personal betrayal, a knife to the heart of everything I had worked for. That evening, as the city lights twinkled outside my small apartment window, I sat alone in the dim glow of my desk lamp, surrounded by half-empty coffee cups and scattered notes from the days leading up to my dismissal. My mind kept replaying the scenes, the last meeting, the sudden call to HR, the coldness in the CEO's eyes, all those years of loyalty, late nights, and sacrifices, gone in a flash. I needed a plan, but more than that, I needed support. The corporate world was brutal, and navigating it solo after such a hit felt overwhelming. I realized that, despite everything, I wasn't alone. I had connections, people who saw me as more than just a cog in a corporate machine. One name immediately came to mind: Elena Rivera. Elena wasn't just another CEO I had done business with. She was a rare gem in this ruthless world. From the moment we first met during the initial talks about integrating our company's products, there was a mutual respect and understanding that went beyond the usual business formalities. She was straightforward, intelligent, and had an unwavering commitment to integrity, qualities that mirrored my own. More importantly, we had built trust. Over months of negotiations, she had shared stories about how she fought to keep her company's values intact in a cutthroat industry, and I admired her for that. I pulled out my phone, hesitated for a moment, then dialed her number. The line rang, and each second felt like an eternity. I almost hung up, wondering if I was imposing, if I should just figure things out on my own. But then her voice came through, warm and familiar. "Jason, it's late. Everything okay?" Her tone was genuine, not the typical guarded professionalism I'd come to expect from CEOs. That moment of warmth broke the ice, and I felt a flicker of hope. "Elena, it's been a rough day," I said, my voice tight with emotion. They fired me. Apex let me go, right after I closed that $5 million deal. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it." She was silent for a heartbeat, then said, "Jason, I'm so sorry to hear that. You didn't deserve that, after everything you did." Hearing her say that felt like a balm on my bruised pride. I took a deep breath and began to explain everything: the shock, the injustice, the gut-wrenching feeling of being discarded like yesterday's news. I told her how the CEO seemed more interested in saving face and trimming costs than in the hard work I'd poured into the company's success. I admitted my fears about my reputation, my career, and how this sudden rupture could affect my family, who relied on me. Elena listened quietly, her empathy clear in her voice. "Jason, I know what it's like to be pushed out for reasons beyond your control, but your talent and integrity don't just disappear because one company failed to see your worth." We talked for what felt like hours. She shared her own stories about battles she'd faced with investors and internal politics, reminding me that setbacks weren't the end, but often the start of something new. Finally, I summoned the courage to ask the question that had been on my mind. "Elena, is there any chance, any possibility that Synergy Solutions could use someone like me? I'm not looking for charity. I want to work. I want to prove that I still have what it takes." There was a brief pause. I could almost hear her weighing the possibilities. Then came her answer, steady and kind. "Jason, I wouldn't be talking to you now if I didn't believe you're exactly the kind of person Synergy needs. We value loyalty and integrity above all. I want you on my team. I felt a surge of relief and gratitude. Elena wasn't just offering me a job, she was offering a partnership grounded in respect and shared values. She promised to present my case personally to her board and to find a way for me to transition smoothly into the company. That night, with the city's quiet hum as a backdrop, I felt the heavy fog of despair start to lift. Elena's faith in me rekindled a fire I thought was dying. Her offer was a lifeline, proof that in the murky world of corporate politics, there were still people who valued character over convenience. As we talked logistics and next steps, I realized this wasn't just about business. It was about rebuilding my life and reclaiming my dignity. Elena's support reminded me that relationships built on trust and respect could withstand even the harshest storms. When I finally ended the call, I sat back, exhausted but hopeful. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but with Elena's backing, I was ready to fight, not just for a job, but for the principles that had always guided me. That night marked a turning point. What had started as a nightmare was slowly transforming into a new beginning, one where I could rebuild, not just my career, but my sense of purpose and belonging. When Elena Rivera called me with that unexpected offer, it felt like a lifeline tossed across a stormy sea. After the crushing blow from Apex, where I had devoted over a decade of my life, I wasn't sure where I stood or what my next move should be. But here was Elena, a respected figure in our industry, someone I'd come to admire during countless negotiations and meetings, offering me a chance to start fresh at Synergy Solutions. It wasn't just a job offer. It was a vote of confidence, a beacon of hope that maybe all wasn't lost. I spent that night pacing my small apartment, wrestling with my doubts and fears. Could I really walk away from everything I'd built at Apex? Would Synergy be the right fit, or just another stepping stone? The $5 million deal that had been the crown jewel of my career, the deal Apex had tried to take from me, was still fresh in my mind. Now, I had a chance to bring it over to a new team. But would the client trust me enough to switch allegiance? The stakes were enormous. The next morning, as dawn broke over the city, I found myself standing outside Synergy Solutions headquarters for the first time. The building's sleek glass facade reflected the awakening light, its modern lines and bustling lobby promising a dynamic and forward-thinking culture. I took a deep breath and stepped inside, feeling the weight of the past lift off my shoulders just a little. This was a new beginning. Elena personally welcomed me, her presence calm and assured. She introduced me to her executive team with genuine warmth, and I quickly realized the difference in company culture was profound. Here, people weren't just chasing profits. They were passionate about innovation, integrity, and building long-term partnerships. It was refreshing, almost rejuvenating after the cold, cutthroat atmosphere I'd left behind. My first weeks were a whirlwind. I threw myself into learning Synergy's products, technology, and internal processes. I had to prove my worth all over again, not just to Elena and her team, but to myself. The $5 million contract with Horizon Enterprises, the very same client I'd closed at Apex, loomed large. That deal wasn't just a business opportunity. It was a symbol of my professional identity. Winning it for Synergy would be a statement that I still had what it took. I began reaching out to the contacts I had cultivated at Horizon, many of whom had expressed admiration for my work and integrity. It was a delicate dance, rebuilding bridges while navigating the tension between two competing companies. Horizon was a client that valued consistency and trust, and I knew switching vendors could be risky for them. I had to demonstrate not only Synergy's superior product offerings, but also the personal commitment I brought to the table. Our meetings with Horizon executives stretched late into evenings. I presented tailored solutions, incorporating feedback and concerns from their teams. Every conversation was a test of my credibility and perseverance. I reminded them of the promises I made when we first sealed the deal, now renewed and reinforced, with Synergy's innovative capabilities and ethical approach. Back at Apex, word of my defection and my efforts to secure Horizon's contract began to ripple through the halls. I sensed the unease, the undercurrents of fear and resentment. My old colleagues, once friendly, now watched me with wary eyes. I heard rumors about attempts to win me back, offers whispered behind closed doors, even veiled threats. But I stayed resolute. I had been betrayed once. I wasn't going to let fear or nostalgia pull me back into a place that no longer valued me. At Synergy, Elena was a steadfast ally. She invested time and resources into supporting me, standing firm against any doubt or hesitation within the company. Together, we strategized tirelessly, analyzing Horizon's needs, refining proposals, rehearsing presentations. Her leadership reminded me that success wasn't just about numbers, it was about people and principles. The turning point came during a crucial negotiation meeting at Horizon's headquarters. Sitting across from the Apex team, I felt a mixture of anxiety and determination. The room was charged with tension, but I focused on my message: innovation, transparency, and a partnership built on mutual respect. I spoke not as a former employee trying to prove himself, but as a trusted advisor dedicated to delivering value. When Horizon finally chose Synergy Solutions, the sense of victory was profound. It wasn't just the win of a multi-million-dollar contract. It was a personal vindication. I had proven that integrity and persistence could overcome betrayal and corporate politics. The deal secured my place in a company that valued me, and it secured the future I had dreamed of for myself and my family. Reflecting on those weeks now, I realized that this opportunity wasn't just about business. It was about reclaiming my dignity and my career. It was about stepping into a future defined by respect, trust, and new alliances. One where I was no longer a disposable asset, but a vital partner in a company that believed in what I brought to the table. And that, more than anything else, made all the difference. The day of the contract renewal meeting was one of those rare, high-stakes moments in business that feels almost cinematic. I remember waking up that morning with a knot of tension in my stomach, not because I doubted my abilities or the strength of our proposal at Synergy Solutions, but because I knew this was more than a simple negotiation. It was a test of everything I'd endured in the last several months: the betrayal of Apex Technologies' sudden dismissal, the trust I'd painstakingly built with Horizon, and the chance to prove my worth on my own terms. I arrived at Horizon Enterprises headquarters early, giving myself plenty of time to mentally prepare and review our presentation once more. The building itself was an impressive structure of glass and steel, perched in the heart of the business district, reflecting the ambition and competitiveness that defined the industry. Walking into the spacious modern conference room where the negotiations would take place, I immediately felt the weight of the moment settle in. The polished oak table stretched long between two teams. On one side, my new colleagues from Synergy Solutions, all poised and professional, with the calm confidence of a team that believed in their work. Opposite us sat the Apex Technologies delegation. Familiar faces, but with expressions hardened by the knowledge that I was now their rival. Their smiles were polite, but I could see the flicker of tension beneath the surface, as if they hadn't quite expected me to be here after the way they had discarded me. The first hour was the Apex presentation, and it was exactly what I'd expected: polished, aggressive, and a bit impersonal. They led with statistics, charts, and slick marketing speak about their scale, longevity, and industry leadership. It was the classic corporate pitch designed to impress through size and reputation alone. They pushed hard on price reductions, promising faster implementation and unparalleled support. But their words felt rehearsed, lacking the nuance and customization that Horizon needed. I caught a few glances from the Horizon executives during this segment, some polite nods, but also a few furrowed brows and sideways looks that told me they weren't entirely convinced. When it was our turn, I took a deep breath and reminded myself that this was my moment to speak not just as a salesperson, but as a trusted advisor who truly understood Horizon's unique challenges. As I stood, the room seemed to quiet, and I started with something simple but powerful. This isn't just about a contract. It's about a partnership. It's about trust, and it's about results that matter to you, not just numbers on a page. I began walking them through our proposal, highlighting how Synergy's approach was built specifically around Horizon's strategic goals. Unlike Apex, we weren't offering a one-size-fits-all package. We had taken the time to tailor our solutions, integrating Horizon's feedback at every step to ensure maximum efficiency and adaptability. I shared detailed examples of how our technology and service model could evolve alongside their needs, ensuring long-term success rather than a quick win. Throughout the presentation, I made a conscious effort to look each Horizon executive in the eye, connecting on a human level. I knew that behind those business facades were real people concerned about risks, budgets, and their own professional reputations. I addressed their concerns head on: scalability, reliability, ongoing support. I promised transparency, no hidden fees, no sudden changes, no surprises. When the Apex team tried to undercut us by insinuating that Synergy was too small or inexperienced to handle a contract of this scale, I didn't flinch. I calmly pointed out our proven track record of innovation and client satisfaction, and reminded the Horizon panel that size alone didn't guarantee success or responsiveness. I shared stories from my own experience, including the challenges I'd faced with Apex's bureaucracy and how Synergy's agile approach would benefit them directly. The tension in the room grew as the CFO of Horizon stepped forward with detailed financial questions. Price was a concern, yes, but so was value and risk mitigation. I responded with a comprehensive breakdown of our pricing structure, emphasizing how our flexible terms allowed Horizon to adjust as their needs changed, something Apex's rigid contracts didn't offer. I reassured them that our commitment went beyond closing the deal. We were in it for the long haul. The hour dragged on with back-and-forth questions, some technical, some strategic, and even a few pointed inquiries aimed at me personally. I welcomed these challenges, answering each honestly and with as much clarity as I could muster. I knew that my integrity here mattered just as much as the figures on our spreadsheets. Toward the end, I could see a subtle shift. The Horizon team was leaning in, engaging more openly with our ideas. The Apex pitch, while impressive, started to feel increasingly like a hollow promise compared to our thoughtful, client-centered approach. The room's energy shifted from confrontation to collaboration, a sign that we were making an impact. When it was over, I gathered my materials, shook hands with both teams, and left the conference room with a profound sense of relief mixed with cautious hope. I knew the decision wasn't mine to make, but I was proud of the stand we took. This negotiation wasn't just about winning a contract. It was about proving that integrity, dedication, and genuine partnership could win over power and politics. That day marked a turning point in my career. It reminded me why I'd fought so hard to rebuild my professional life after the shock of being dismissed from Apex. I wasn't just here to compete. I was here to redefine what it meant to do business with honesty and heart. And as I walked back to the car under the late afternoon sun, I felt a quiet confidence that no matter the outcome, I had reclaimed my dignity and my future. The day Horizon Enterprises officially awarded the $5 million contract to Synergy Solutions felt surreal, almost like a dream I had worked toward, but never truly expected to see come true. I still remember the moment the lead executive's voice cut through the thick tension in the sleek conference room, declaring our company the winning bidder. The room erupted with quiet but palpable relief, mine the loudest, mixed with a deep, bittersweet satisfaction that no bonus or paycheck could ever fully capture. After weeks, no, months, of navigating the storm that had begun with my abrupt firing from Apex Technologies, this moment crystallized everything I'd been fighting for. It wasn't just a business victory, it was a personal vindication. I'd been blindsided by a CEO who let me go just before my biggest bonus was due, a man who didn't hesitate to throw years of loyalty and hard work aside as if they were worthless. And yet, here I was, standing tall, having brought the same deal home for my new employer under far more trying circumstances. I shook hands firmly with the Horizon executives, feeling the weight of their genuine trust and the immense responsibility we now carried. The applause and congratulations from my Synergy colleagues felt warm but subdued, as if everyone knew the win was only the beginning of what would be a long road ahead. I caught Elena's eye across the table, a mixture of pride and relief reflecting back at me, and for the first time in weeks, I let myself breathe fully. The tension I hadn't realized I'd been holding since that day in the Apex boardroom began to dissipate, replaced by a cautious optimism. The following days turned into a whirlwind of phone calls, meetings, and media inquiries. Word of Synergy's win spread quickly throughout the industry, with headlines painting the story as a classic underdog triumph. Local business journals praised the integrity and innovative approach Synergy brought to the table, an approach I was proud to have helped craft. I was invited to share my experience on industry panels, podcasts, and even a regional business awards event, where I spoke candidly about the harsh lessons learned when corporate loyalty is tossed aside for short-term gains. Behind the scenes, Apex Technologies was beginning to unravel. From the grapevine, I heard about the turmoil in their leadership ranks, their boardrooms filled with tense discussions, finger-pointing, and last-minute attempts to salvage the client relationships we had built over years. Losing such a critical contract wasn't just a financial blow. It was a crushing hit to their reputation. I heard whispers of several executives being forced out, some resigning in frustration or perhaps shame. Even more telling were the reports that some longtime clients were reconsidering their commitments, concerned about the company's stability and the future of projects now in limbo. In a cruel irony, Apex's decision to cut me loose right before my bonus had not only cost them a talented sales director, but had triggered a chain reaction that threatened their very survival. They had gambled on short-term cost savings, but lost the trust and loyalty of the people and clients who had made them successful. It was a hard lesson, one I knew I had escaped only because I was lucky enough to find allies like Elena, and a company willing to recognize real value beyond numbers on a spreadsheet. On a deeply personal level, the victory meant far more than professional redemption. It gave me a newfound sense of stability that allowed me to refocus on what mattered most: my family. My wife, who had endured sleepless nights worrying about our future, and my mental health during the chaos, finally saw the fruits of our sacrifices. We were able to move into a new home in a neighborhood we had only dreamed of before, a place where our kids could grow up with opportunities I wanted to give them. It was more than bricks and mortar. It was a symbol of hope and renewal. More importantly, the financial security from the contract allowed me to provide the care my aging mother needed without constantly stressing about the bills. She had sacrificed so much to support me growing up, and now I could give back in a way that felt overdue: better health care, comfort, and peace of mind. For me, that was worth more than any contract bonus. In the aftermath of this chapter, I also felt compelled to give back to the community that had helped me rebuild. I started mentoring young professionals, those who, like me, had faced setbacks and betrayals but still dreamed of making an honest mark in their fields. I became active in local business organizations, speaking openly about the importance of integrity and ethical leadership. I wanted to be a living example that you don't have to compromise your values to succeed in a competitive industry. Reflecting on all this, I realized this triumph was about so much more than winning a lucrative contract. It was about restoring my faith in business as a force for good. It was about showing that loyalty, respect, and trust, though often overshadowed by greed and politics, still have a place in our world. No matter how cutthroat and unforgiving the corporate battlefield can be, I learned that success built on these values isn't just sustainable, it's deeply fulfilling. The scars from my time at Apex will always remain, a reminder of how fragile trust can be and how vital it is to protect your principles. But the legacy I'm building now, through the work I do and the people I help, is a legacy I'm proud of. I'm proud to have turned my dismissal, once a moment of deep betrayal, into a catalyst for growth, change, and ultimately, triumph. Looking back, what truly stands out isn't just winning the deal or the money. It's the integrity I held on to throughout. After everything that happened, I realized that keeping my values was more important than any bonus or contract. When Synergy Solutions won the contract, I didn't just feel victorious, I felt responsible. I began speaking at industry events, not about sales tactics, but about loyalty, trust, and doing business the right way. That message really struck a chord, especially with younger professionals who wanted to see more honest leadership. Receiving a Business Ethics Award was a proud moment, but even more meaningful was hearing how my story inspired others to stand up for their principles. At Synergy, we worked hard to build a culture where integrity wasn't just a word, but a way of life. And at home, I teach my kids that success means nothing without honor. Setbacks don't define you. How you respond does. In the end, my legacy isn't just about deals won, but about proving that, in business, being honest and loyal is what truly lasts.